There is, as we all know, a plethora of information floods created by the internet, so much so that anyone would need several hundred hours each day just to read it all. And so I have begun using the techniques in the Key to Look to program things so that the things that I need to know are brought to me. So I don't have to look for them, I don't have to wade through masses of stuff that are no use to me in order to find the bits that I want. And at the end of November, I was approached by Extreme News in Hessen in Germany. Please, please, please come to their Congress on the 28th of November. Now, I would probably have gone in normal circumstances anyway, but at the end of 3.5 weeks on tour, my inclination to do something on top of it was wasn't appealing. I was quite exhausted, but they repeated it and they repeated it, and then other things moved to show me that the 28th of November you're not doing anything else. And then in a town where all the hotels were booked, suddenly I got an offer, hey, we've got 2 rooms free. So okay, I get the message, let's go. Now this Congress was Russian scientists portraying the developments which Russian science has made over the last few decades, but especially in the last few years, where they have moved very much away from the classic Newtonian physics model into areas which some would still claim to be humbug or left field or whatever, but actually work. And the first speaker at the Congress, whose name is, it says here, Alexander Rosanov, he demonstrated something which was extremely interesting, not just in general terms, not just for individual people, but for the entire planet. And it was his work working with the geological fault lines, which are generally not visible on the surface, but have tremendous effect upon the people who live along the fault line. These are the things that a, what's the word, not geomancer, but a dowser, or perhaps a bard or a merlin would see. They're trained, or we are trained to see such things and to see what effect they have upon people, whether they're strengthening or whether they're weakening. And based upon this, we advise people whether they should be living there or avoiding like the plague. Where 2 or more fault lines converge, we can very easily have either something which just sucks energy, an energetic swamp, or a place of power. And it's this I want to talk about right now, the places of power. Now, geologically speaking, they're real, they exist. If we look around the world at what's going on right now, we also see that they exist, they are real. Let us take, for example, the Assad regime in Syria. How is it that no matter what is done, what is attempted to topple them, nothing works? How is it that despite overwhelming odds against them, the regime still stands? The answer is the places of power in Damascus and other stations used by the Syrian military, majority of them are places of power. And Damascus is so stable that any attempt to break it actually strengthens it. It makes it even more stable. The central office of the greatest criminal organisation on the planet, the banking cartel, the Bank of International Settlement, sits on a major place of power. It's so potent that most people don't even think about removing this burden from humanity. It's just there, can't do anything about it. Now, there has been a lot of talk over the last 50 years, but especially over the last 5, about the repolarizing, this changing of the poles at the end of a great year being 5,125 years. And because we've been in the age of materialism, in English, we think in terms of, oh, well, if the poles are going to change, the north and south poles are going to swap over again, which they have done a few times in the past. But it's the nature of the change we need to look at, because it's not a physical change. The fifth of the great years is the change is in the ether, that is consciousness. So we're looking at reversing the polarity of consciousness from victim, from elite and vassal, from, what should we say, dictator and serf, to the age of community. Everyone being a part of the single organism called humanity. As this happens, the fault lines will begin to change their nature. It's a thing which will happen automatically over time. We've seen already that some of the major power points on Earth have moved quite dramatically, some of them to a different continent. Some, however, are still held tight by the energy of that which sits upon them. The Assad regime, the Bank of International Settlement, the Federal Reserve Bank, the United Nations building, and many, many others. What we're going to do with the transmissions which follow here is we're going to speed up this process of transformation of the nature of the fault lines from there being something which supports dictatorship to their new nature of that which supports community. You will doubtless appreciate that such a change is going to bring very, very rapid dissolution of many of the power structures upon the planet. It is going to bring about a dissolution of the dictator, vassal, serf structure. It is going to bring about an end of the enslavement of humanity, an end to the attempt, which almost succeeded, by the banking cartels to become owners of the entire planet and owners of humanity. So these are the transmissions which follow. I think there are 2, but there might be 3. This I can't tell you right now because of course I haven't done them yet, but I think there are 2. in growing intensity. The first one is just to tune you into these changes. The second one is to affect the changes through you. We need a widespread effect through as many people as possible, just passing on the informational structure of the restructuring of the fault lines. So, this could be humanity's Christmas present. Let's hope so. Thank you.